Hello and welcome to another session of Groundbreakers Live. I'm your host Javed Mohammed, and I'm very honored to have with us John Peach, who is the principal data scientist at the Oracle. John, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me, Javed.
Okay, so you are presenting at the Oracle DevLive Cloud Native Apps session day off, and you have a session there called Data Science for Developers. So first of all, let's just just want to get a little familiarity with you. How did you get into the field of data science?
Kind of always been in the field of data science. I
Uh-huh.
have a very non-direct path towards data science, but when I was 16, I started my first company working on database systems, and that sort of started me off into just doing more and more with data, and I got really interested in the analytics side of things. I
Uh-huh.
did a bunch of graduate work and realized I don't really like bench work, but I really enjoyed working with the data.
Uh-huh.
And I have really good computing skills. And sort of as the data science field sort of emerged and became a thing, I was sort of doing data science before data science was a thing,
Uh-huh.
and it just sort of grew out of that, and I've just absolutely loved it. Got more and more into machine learning and statistics and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I think there's a cool factor associated with data science. I guess probably back in the day it would be like astrophysicist or something like that. So it's
Yeah.
uh-huh. All right. So so what um, gave you the idea to do a session for data science for developers?
So we have this great new data science platform, the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, that we're trying to get out to people and get them aware of the service that we have. And then the specific talk is focused around using sort of targeting developers for data science. So right now there's a huge shortage of data scientists, and software developers have a lot of sort of the core skills, but there's also sort of some missing skills. And one of the things that we've been trying to focus on in the data science service is building tools to sort of backfill in those skills so that you can get developers doing really good data science without necessarily, running out and getting a PhD in machine learning or something like that.
Mhm. Okay. Um, so, and I'm just kind of curious, does data science change when you move from on-premise to the cloud, or is it just because we have big data everywhere and just the proliferation of it? I'm just kind of curious, like, how does that play out?
I think it's very different, and it's definitely a move we need to make. So, traditionally a lot of data science was sort of done by one person in isolation working on their laptop. And that just doesn't work anymore. Data science has run into a bunch of different problems. One is like around the scale of the data that they're using, the permissions for accessing the data, like something simple as GDPR, which requires you to delete data. Well, that means you can't store data on your laptop anymore.
Mhm.
The data provenance says that it has to sort of sit in the main repository for the system, and then they have people that do the deletion for GDPR, and you can't pull it onto your laptop. You also have problems where data science is becoming much more real time. It's
Mhm.
no longer you pull some data off of the database, do your analytics, throw it over the wall to the engineering team, they build out a model. The data scientist is becoming more and more responsible for getting their data, building the model, pushing it out to production, monitoring the model, and then sort of rinsing and repeating. And you need tools that integrate all of those things together. And that's where the cloud really helps out. Plus there's the standard thing, you have bigger compute and more memory and that type of stuff.
Uh-huh.
But I think the whole ecosystem around data science is radically changing, and it's no longer do it on a laptop. It's you need to do it in a cloud in an integrated system.
When you were talking about that, I was just thinking almost of like how even the role of the developers has changed, and you got full stack developers. And when you're mentioning all the different elements of doing data science, seems like a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah, it is. And that's kind of one of the difficulties around hiring data scientists is that a lot of people that um, are doing data science don't necessarily come from like a CS background, but they need a lot of these CS skills to do it themselves. And that's one of the problems we're trying to address is we're trying to make it easy for you to not be, a highly advanced programmer, but, good enough programmer, but you can still build your models and push it to production. So for example, the service that we have, you can build a model and it's just a couple of commands. You put it in the model catalog, and then it's just a couple more commands that are fairly repetitive.
Uh-huh.
And now you can push a model into production, and that model will automatically scale and log all the information, and it's robust. And you don't need, really solid software development skills to build out a system that's going to be highly performant and reliable and stuff like that. We're doing all of that for you.
Great. Okay. And if there are like any wannabe, you mentioned about, not everyone has a background in computer science. So if there are folks out there, perhaps they're just graduating, or they've graduated and they've been working for a couple of years, and they do want to get into the field of data science. Obviously, it seems like based upon the tools and offerings from Oracle, we do some of the heavy lifting that's required. But still, are there any kind of advice you would have that would say, do's or not do, just from a career path standpoint?
Yeah, I think from a career paths standpoint, there's no simple answer. In some ways, data science is a bit of a junk term. It covers so much. And what I tell people is, pick a language like R or Python, get really good at it, and then get good in the other language, because you're going to have to use both of them. Get really good in SQL, and then after that, focus sort of on the sciencey aspect of data science. Learn to think like a scientist, be critical, a critical thinker, and then pick an area that you want to get really good in. Data science, one of the pillars of it is that you are an expert in an area that's going to provide advice. So whether it's like marketing or let's say computer vision for retail shopping or something like that, like pick an area that interests you. There's tons of jobs out there. They're hard to get, but there's tons of jobs out there that you can then really hone those expertise within while you're building up your skills that are on the technical side, if you're not technical, or if you're technical, you can build up your skills around the science side.
Okay. Well, sound advice, John. Thank you so much for sharing, and all the best in your session.
Thank you very much. Thank you for taking the time to talk with me. Appreciate it.